So here we go. We're going to do business planning basics, which is a 1-hour elective CE for you guys that want it. You don't have to. Hopefully you're just here to take some good nuggets and come up with a good plan for you for next year. And what we're going to cover today, I love this quote, right? From James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, which is like an awesome book. It's actually the book club book for Briggs Freeman that's coming up. If you haven't read it, highly, highly, highly recommend. James Clear's newsletter is like the one newsletter other than like my Bible verses that I like religiously read his newsletter because it's so good and it's not long and it's always like super thought-provoking. So anyway, he's a great follow on Instagram too, because he puts his little quotes out there. So, but I love this quote: without hard work, a great strategy remains a dream. Without a great strategy, hard work becomes a nightmare. And I think for realtors, especially, that can be so true because you guys work so hard, but then sometimes you get so caught up like working. It's like we need to step back and make sure we're working strategically, right? And not just keeping plates spinning. So there's 10 of you guys on right now. I'm going to ask you, please, like definitely speak up and interact. This is so much more interesting when you guys like share questions and stuff. So don't be shy. You definitely don't want to listen to me talk for an hour for sure. Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. We are going to break this class into 4 chunks. It used to be 2 separate classes and I smushed them into one. So we're going to move really quickly. And it's basically just to give you guys some ideas of how to do this for yourself. I am happy to sit down with any of you and like lay it out or go over your goals or help define them a little bit more clearly when the time comes. But in the meantime, we're just going to walk through today these 4 steps. We're going to define our goals, right? Clarify why we're here and what we want for ourselves. We're going to talk about some exercises to really assess our business. And then we're going to make a plan once we have all that information to really go forward of how we're going to execute our plan for the year. And then we're going to talk about a little bit about accountability. So some of you guys have seen this slide before, but it's super important. I think it's a great visual about like, why do we need to do goal setting, right? If we just work really hard, hopefully we'll be successful is maybe one thought, but realistically, there's a lot of studies, and this is a really good one that shows the value of, writing down your goals and sharing them with people. So there was a psychologist who studied 270 individuals like in a workplace setting. She divided them into 5 different groups. The first group, she said, just think about your goals. And then she came back to them in 4 weeks. The second group, she said, write your goals down like on day 1. And then she didn't really do anything with them again until she circled back at the end of 4 weeks. The third group, she said, she didn't talk about goals. She said, just write down actions that you want to take. So they wrote down actions. And then, they didn't do anything other than that. The fourth group, she said, write down your goals and tell a peer what your goals are. So there was some like sharing of what your goals were with someone else in the workplace. And then the last one, she said, write down your goals, tell a peer, and then once a week, share with that peer, like how you've moved forward towards your goals. Like, have you gotten anything done? And you can see group 5, the group that wrote their goals down and then also told someone and checked in with that person on a weekly basis, they achieved 76% of their goals. They're way more likely than the person that just like thought about their goals but didn't write them down. So that's why I am the broken record about making sure that you guys have a written plan for yourself and written goals that you can keep revisiting. Figure out whether it's this notebook. I was sitting with an agent the other day and I was like, oh, I keep mine in my phone because then I can always just look at them and check in. I keep just a note in my phone. And she was like, no, I'm a paper person. I will carry this everywhere with me and really look at it. Just keep them somewhere where you could be like checking in and seeing them. So that's the importance of writing them down. I just like to talk about that so that we understand that just thinking about it isn't as effective. Okay, so why do we do goal setting? Because like I said, you might work really hard and have some success, but if there's somewhere specific you want to go, you need to, you want a specific destination, you need to think about it, right? Where do you want to go? What do you want to be? What do you want your life to look like? Just think about it and write it down. It's good to have directions. So does anyone have questions so far? This is all pretty straightforward. Okay, so we're going to talk about like defining our goals, right? And in the worksheet, you will see, hold on, I'm gonna grab mine. You will see this worksheet, like, it's so hard when I have my little background on it. I can send you one of these, or I can bring them one to you. If you're in Turtle Creek, happy to do that so that you can take notes on it, or if you are a paper person and want to keep it. But basically, you can see when we're talking about goals, it's like, what are all the different things that we want to focus on? You don't have to have a goal for each of these categories. You might have only work goals. Hopefully you have like a good balance. They may not all be applicable to you, they might, but I would encourage you to just think about all different aspects of your area and like, what is your why, right? Like we all might think about our work goals. Like I want to sell, $15 million of real estate, or I want to do 30 deals, or I want to make $200,000 or whatever the number is. Right. But there's a reason that you want all of those things. You may want $200,000 because you have a child going to college, or you want to take care of your parents, or you really, really want to take your family to Europe, or whatever it is. Like, what's your why, right? That helps us articulate some of our goals sometimes. So, think about what your goals might be, and we have a little spot for you to write them down. Here are some sample goals, right? And this is kind of a mix. It might be like, achieve the sales volume, win more listings. Those are kind of work ones, but also I want to pay off this debt. I want to have better balance. Like those are some good goals you may be thinking about at the beginning of the year. Does anyone have a goal they want to share already? I can share some of mine. I'm going to read 35 books. That's one of my goals. I read 30 last year, so I upped it. That's going to be a stretch, I think, but that's okay to have a stretch goal. The other thing is that when you write down more than one goal, like I have 16 goals, like, am I going to hit them all? Probably not, but will I at least get close to the ones that I don't hit because I'm thinking about it? Probably so. Jon Acuff, I don't know if you guys listen to him, but he does great podcasts around this time of year about how many goals he had, like 70 goals or something last year. And he did a podcast where he walked through each one of them and said whether he achieved it or not. And it was interesting because he was like, well, that was a dumb goal. Like it wasn't clarified quantity. It was a really interesting podcast. I like him a lot. Jon Acuff, he wrote soundtracks. But one of my goals is to refer 6 transactions to Briggs Freeman agents. I usually do like 1 or 2 a year. And I was realizing like, there's no reason that I shouldn't be leaning into my sphere a little bit more and like marketing a little bit more, and hopefully tapping into my sphere to get some business for you guys. Right. So that's one of my goals. So I have to figure out what does that really going to look like, but refer 6 transactions to Briggs Freeman agents. That's one. Let's see. Oh, I want to host a wine party. That's a personal one. That's silly, but it's true. There's a vacation I want to take with my mom. There's some rental properties that I need to sell. And then I have some work goals also. So those are mine, or some of mine. Does anyone have one they want to share?
I do. And I'm going to do your goal class again, Zareen, but mine is video. And I need to like kind of clarify exactly what that goal is within video, but
Okay.
That's a big one for me.
I love that. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, perfect. So that's good. And I love that you said you need to clarify it, because when we think about our goals, we need to make sure that they're smart, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. We were talking about goals with like my family the other night, and Lucas, my stepson, was like, I want to go to the gym more. And I was like, okay, well, what does that mean? Like, how much do you go to the gym right now? Like, is it 2 times a week? Because I was telling him, like, if you let us know what your goals are, like, we can support you, right? And we can make sure you get to the gym or offer to take you to the gym or whatever. But just making sure your goals are not so generic that we couldn't tell at the end of the year if that happened or not, right? Hold on, I'm going to pull up the chat.
Good one.
Joe wants to run a 5K in under 35 minutes. Which is lofty. I love that, but that's very specific. You just probably need a date, right? And maybe it's just in 2023 at some point, which is awesome. That's good. And I know there's training programs out there that can help you. Sadly, I don't think I could do that right now, but okay. So these were the goals that we were talking about before. And these are those goals like run through the SMART funnel. And it's just important when you guys are thinking about your goals to make sure that they're clear enough. Like Melissa said, I want to do video, but I don't know exactly what that looks like, so we can run that through the smart funnel for her. And Melissa, we can just talk it out. Is it like you want to do social media videos or live open houses or a meet me video?
All of it. It's so overwhelming to me.
Okay.
So I don't even know where to start, but I know
Okay.
to do it.
Well, I mean, a good quarterly goal then, just to get yourself in the habit, might be like to do 2 like live open house videos and post 1 social media video a month or a week, right? Because at the end of, on April 5th, when our guaranteed goals challenge ends, we could look back at your social media and see if you did those things, right?
Right.
So that
Right.
might be, and that may not be what you're thinking in terms of the types of videos, but like figure out what types of videos, and then we can kind of
Right.
lay it out there. How does that feel?
No, I think that's good. I think that's kind of
Along
what
the
I'm
right
thinking.
lines?
It's just the whole process. Like I have to like get over my, like perfectly, like, okay, I want to make sure that I have everything perfect before I do a video. And you just can't. You have to be like real. So
Done is better than perfect, right?
yeah.
And that's what we can do in guaranteed goals too. Melissa is like, okay, well, we have this, you wanted to be better in video. So that's your like general goal. And then your specific goal turns into, I want to do, 2 live open house. I'm just making this up, 2 live open houses and, 4 social media, like live videos or whatever. And then we start breaking it down into steps of like, really, what does that look like? Like, what would that take for you to be willing to go on video the first time? And maybe those are your steps the first week, right? And then you just break it down into steps and you take this big general goal and make it like actionable.
Yeah.
Yes. How to eat the elephant, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the 8 elements of excellence. And I show this slide to you guys right now only to remind you that when we're thinking about work goals, it doesn't have to be, volume and production and income. Like there's a lot of things around work. Like Melissa just said, she wants to do more video, which is awesome. That's marketing, right? It might be a database goal where it's like, I'm finally going to organize my database, like, or, have everybody tagged or whatever it might be. So these are the different components that you might angles, right? Mindset, like, do you need a mindset shift here or new tools? Are there things you need to learn? Do you need to understand something better? Is your listing process ready to go? Are there tweaks you could make? Same thing with your marketing strategy. Like, do you have one and do you execute it consistently? And do you have a budget? Relationships, that's really your database. Are you doing the right things? Are you providing value? Your team, not meaning like, are you growing a team, but like, do you have your inspector list and your, title people to ask and your, plumber and all of your people around you, your assistant, your agent that you rely on when you go out of town. Like, do you have the right team in place? Is your buyer process refined? And are you executing your business well, right? Like you may have all the right pieces, but if you're like overworked and exhausted all the time, like that's no good. So it's like, how can we introduce some new things that will help you like execute your business more efficiently or effectively or things like that. One of my goals last year was to master Microsoft tasks because I'm like a nerdy Microsoft power user. All of you have received like multiple calendar invites for me. I always have calendar invites. I really lean into Outlook and flagging things. And they have a program it's not called Tasks anymore. It's called To Do, but it's basically their like to-do checklist that like ties into your email. And it's like an Outlook product that we all have access to. Kay Wood did this last year and she didn't use To Do. She used another one called Things, but it was basically a way of organizing her. It just helped me like execute my business a little bit better having that in place. Cause I used to just keep a note in my phone and which was fine because I like having everything in my phone because I can touch it and it's always right there. But I found that the To-Do app on my phone is like better for me in terms of my to-do list. So that was just one of my like business execution examples last week. Any questions here? Am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? We're doing okay. Okay. All right. So mindset at the bottom of the worksheet, there's a question like what gets you in a positive mindset? And like the amount of time that we're going to spend talking about this today is like disproportionate to how important it actually is to your business, right? Because this is a hard business, and the last year was really, really hard at the beginning when it was frantic, and then it was really, really hard at the end when like everything was changing and nothing was really happening, right? So this business, it can just be hard. It can be hard personally. So we have to have a bag of tricks that we know will keep us in the right mindset. And everyone might have their own thing. It might be exercise. I do better if I exercise every morning. I have to pray every morning. I do my gratitude, whatever it is. Those might all be just examples for you of what works for you, right? There's I don't know how many people does anyone still write their affirmations down like we learned to in Ninja? I know we all kind of fall away from that, although we know it works. I use the ThinkUp app in lieu of that, and you feel like a crazy maniac, but you can record affirmations in your own voice and then just listen to them like on a short car ride, right? Just to remind you, like hear yourself saying nice things, like it scientifically helps you feel better and do better. So just figuring out what is your mindset trick and paying attention to taking care of yourself so that you can show up best for your clients and your family and all your people. So the morning routine we talk about in Ninja, like that's super important. Okay, so let's check in. Do we feel clear on like what we should do to at least write down our 2023 goals? We feel okay about that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. Any questions? Okay, all right. So we, defined our goals. Now we're going to move on to assessing where we are, and we're going to talk about certain exercises we can do to like help us immerse ourselves into our business. I find that you guys as a group of agents like know your business pretty well, but these will really help you like get clarity as you move into the new year and like, how do I want my business to look and what's working and what's not working? So we're going to talk through these 4 exercises, and none of them are like brand new. You've heard them all before, but they are like tried and true. And I also will tell you that I haven't met any agent who's like, I've done all of these already and like need something new. Like there's a lot of meat here still like left on the bone that we can all like dig into. So the first one is the transaction audit. And I met with an agent the other day, and he's really, really in touch with his business, and he knows most of his business comes from his sphere. And I love that, but I still encourage you guys always not to just say like, this is my sphere, these are my friends, like really drill down, right? And say like, I've done this before where it's like, oh, these are all, the first time I did this, I was like, oh, this is just people that I know. This is sphere business, right? It wasn't new. It was new business that I generated from my sphere. But when I really went through and like highlighted where it came from, like 3 of my 8 deals that year came from my gym, which was not a place where I was like actively seeking business. But it was really interesting to me that those people like worked out with me every morning at 5 a.m. and found me to be like a credible person and asked me to help them with their business. So it was helpful to me to learn that when I really, really drilled down and wasn't just like, oh, this is sphere, this is like sphere, this is my gym. And I did business deals with each of them. So what I'm going to encourage you to do, and you can go into BFSIR Connect and pull your production and identify really what the source of your business was, and not just like, oh, these are friends. Like I've done this before with an agent, and she was like, all my business comes from my friends. And I was like, okay, fine, but go through and really identify like which friend group. And ultimately she realized that most of her friend business was coming from her law school friends, not as much her college friends or her other friends. It was just her law school friends. So that was helpful to her. So Margaret, I'm going to put you on the spot because I know you've been working on this, but I'm curious to hear if you've learned anything. As a lawyer, you should never ask a question you don't know the answer to. And I don't know the answer to this, but hopefully she has some good feedback for us. I know Margaret went through, we pulled all of her transactions from like the beginning of time, basically. And you went through it. You're muted, so we can't hear you. And also I need to stop talking.
Okay. I would say most of mine last year came from a guy who does estate sales. Okay. And he was very kind about referring a lot of people to me. So that was wonderful. And then the school where I used to teach, and then family. But I would say the most was from the estate sale guy.
Okay. All right, good. So then that's helpful to Margaret, is she's like, well, if this particular guy trusts me with his business, maybe I should go and find more of these types of leads, right? More estate sale people, so that then she can be like, oh, well, I do all this business for so-and-so, or he might say, these are some other people that I could refer you to, right? Like if you love on him and show appreciation to him, maybe he would say, oh, I should introduce you to so-and-so who has like the same type of business. Or maybe you want to be like, we just got a marketing opportunity for the probate, like bar bench meeting where it's like all the probate attorneys come together. Maybe that's a marketing opportunity for you. So when you know your business really well, it helps you figure out like what are your next steps. It also helps you figure out the things that maybe groups you thought you were targeting that you're not getting business from, and like what's not working, right? So highly recommend for you guys to do this and like really drill down and be specific. Any questions there? No? Okay. I know Holly, you and I did this last year, and you learned some really interesting things about your business and where it was coming from that were like a little bit surprising, which was good, hopefully, right? Just helps you to know who to thank and what's working. And
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So then the next thing, so this is, with the transaction audit, for example, this may be all the different places that your leads could come from. And don't just say, oh, this was Sphere. It's like, no, this person's in my tennis group and it was Sally Jones, right? And then it just helps you to be as specific as possible. And so this is what this looks like. If you pull your data into a spreadsheet, you can see there's a column here for what was the source. And then I have a separate column for referrals, because sometimes, like, for example, you have a past client who refers you business, and sometimes you have a past client who does the business with you, right? They do another deal with you. So it just helps to see like what percentage of my business was referral. Because some of it's referral. Some people will do business with you again. And some people, like, I had a client, I met him. This is kind of a funny story. I met him on Zillow once. I had a listing. He was interested in buying it. It actually didn't work out. We never did a deal together, but he referred me so many people over the course of my career. It was really, really interesting. So I never did a deal with him, but he always referred me business. So I think it's interesting to track your referral. The source is one thing, and whether it was a referral or not is another column. And it just helps you see like, oh, what's working. When I did this was an example, but I did this with an agent, and she was like, I'm getting so much business from my supper club. I had no idea. So then she could put maybe more supper club dinners on her calendar or start another one or whatever it is. So any questions there? That's what that looks like. If you need help doing it, I'm happy to. Like I said, we sent Margaret all her transactions. So the next trick, and we're going to switch from thinking about like our transactions
Hey, right here, Jen.
is to
Sorry.
think about our business activities, right? So with the transaction audit, we're thinking about our people, right? And where our groups. With the business and marketing activity review, it's like looking at the same business from a totally different angle. And you're looking at the things that you spent any time or money on over the course of the year, right? And it's going to be a lot of things. And we have like a business review. You have business activities and marketing activities. We put them together because they overlap so much. But I'd like to think of marketing as anything where you would use our marketing department for, right? Like postcards or digital campaigns or brochures or, reach out flows or newsletters or things like that, like actual marketing things. And then there's business activities, right? Where it's, maybe real estate reviews or networking lunches, things like that, where you're engaging in things to get business, but it's not marketing per se. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So go through in the workbook. All of these slides are in there, but you can kind of go through your business activity and see what worked and what didn't work, right? If you're like, I've been going to these chamber lunches for 2 years now and I've never gotten a deal, like maybe that's not time well spent, right? So think about the things that you spend time or money on that you think generates you business, and whether it works or not. You know, when you did your transaction audit, you may realize that like half of your business came from your son's baseball team. So maybe you want like a banner in the outfield, right? Like just things like that, like where you're connecting. Once you know your business better, you can figure out what are the right choices for you that make sense to your people and your business. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? Has anyone done this before, or has anyone done this already for this year? Like kind of taken inventory of what they did last year and what worked or didn't work?
Serene, would you put all this into one massive spreadsheet? How do you envision laying all this out?
I think this one is not as much a spreadsheet. I think you could probably sit and brainstorm with yourself of like, these are all the things that I did last year, business wise. It was pop buys, it was lunches, it was, you know, networking at like, you know, sitting on a board or whatever it is. Like, these are all the things that I did. And then you could see whether you feel like it was valuable or not, right? Like if I am spending $1,200 on a social media manager every month, and I'm realizing that I didn't really get any business from that, like maybe that's something that I could adjust in my budget where I can still have a presence, but I could save $900 and go spend that $900 like taking people out to lunch or having another dinner party every month or something like that. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily, I mean, a spreadsheet is always good, but in this workbook, it just says, what's the activity and was it effective, right? Because then when you go through and you can see like, basically, am I getting a return on my time or on my investment? Like I have an agent and he's like, I spend $1,200 a month on postcards, but here's the 8 deals that I did last year that of the people that got a postcard, right? So it's just figuring out, does what I'm, it's taking a pause to figure out like, is this thing that I'm doing like making sense? Like the, I mean, I pick on the chamber, which is not fair, but it's like, is this a valuable use of my time? Right. And maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. Maybe you get lots of business from there and you for sure want to keep it, or you want to find something similar since you seem to excel in that setting. Let's find another one. Like to Margaret's point, if this estate guy has found her really good to deal with and really, really trust her, it's like, okay, well now she has some like proof. She can go to another guy and say, I've handled this many deals. He gets, you know, it's just knowing your business and what's working and how do you leverage that. And also what's not working so that you can save yourself some money and time or effort or whatever. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does anyone have any other questions or comments here? No? Okay. All right. So, this one is, you know, pay attention to your database. Obviously, as realtors, like we can't have a conversation about our business without talking about our people. And so, you need to be, you know, keep paying attention to your database on a consistent basis, and, basically keeping track of it somewhere, right? If you don't keep track of your database in an organized fashion somewhere, like that should be on your list of things to do, unfortunately, right? Like I keep mine in ReChat for the most part. I have to work on the tags every once in a while, like making sure that they're current. And that's actually a big project. It should probably be on my list of goals this year is to address that, is make sure your database is attended to, because that's where those are your people, that's where you're getting your business from. So how many of you guys actively keep a hot and warm list?
I do.
I mean,
I
I
do.
would imagine probably most of you, even if you have it in your mind, you know, like who are you working with right now? Who do you think is going to be moving? Who do you want to keep your eye on? I would encourage you to find a way to, really keep track of that, whether it's ReChat has a great way to do it. I have an agent that keeps stickies like this. Oh, this stuff doesn't work. darn it. It's like the line sticky and she sticks them on her laptop, right? Because then she's looking at it like all the time, like your hot and your warm list. Cause we've all had that happen to us where we're like talking to someone and we kind of think that they may be moving. And then in 6 months you run into them again and they're like, oh, we moved. And you're like, cool, congrats. But you wanted to be involved in that transaction, but you didn't keep in touch with them in a consistent way. So I would write it down so you don't forget anybody. And I was talking to someone at one of the agents the other day, and they were saying in their team, they sit down together and they go through like, what'd you do over the weekend? Who'd you run into? And then they add those things to their warm list, which I think is a really like intentional way of just spending like 10 minutes talking about like, what did we do last week? Who did we run into? Do we need to add them to these lists so that we can keep them in mind, or send them a real estate review or whatever it is? So I encourage you to figure out how to keep your hot and warm list. And then also, this is my like number one tip, which not agents don't love to hear this because it's like an exercise you have to sit down and just kind of plod through. But doing the actual Ninja warm and hot list exercise is a great way to fill up your pipeline, or in your warm list. At least you might get some hot list people off of it. I have an agent who did this a couple years ago, and she came back and she was like, I got 2 listings. And what it is, it's a Ninja exercise where you go through your list and there's 16 questions, and you ask this question about every question about one person on your list. And every time it's a yes, you give them a check. And people with a lot of checks are like likely to move, even if they don't know it. So you put them on your warm list so that you can be in front of them on a regular basis. It's if you feel stuck, it's a super, super helpful exercise just to get yourself going. And it's something you can proactively do other than just sitting there and feeling stuck. It's going through your database, asking these questions and putting these people on a list. So at least you have people to target, right? I highly recommend it. Has anyone here ever done it? Justin, you've done it? How did it go?
It was surprising how
Yeah?
many people I kind of had fell off the radar, and making contact with them led to some pretty good opportunities.
Yeah. I think it's true. I mean, number one, it's just forcing you to like look at every person in your database and like think about them. But number two, it's actually telling you like, is this person likely to move? So it's a valuable thing to do if you have the time and if you need to like get yourself jump started. I would say I can send it to you if you want it. It's in the book, but I've pulled those couple pages out and can send it to you. Happy to. If you want to let me know, put it in the chat. Okay, so to recap, these are our 4 exercises to help you understand your business. Your transaction audit, which is really looking at your deals and like your actual people, where the business came from, your actual sources. Your business activity review. What are the things you're out and about doing, spending money or time on? Your marketing strategy review. What are the marketing things that you're spending time and money on to execute? And then embracing your database. Like if you do any combination of these things, it'll put you on the right path. If you did all of them, I think you'd be in really, really good position. So any questions there about this before we move on? Nope. Okay. All right. So we've defined our goals or figured out how we're going to do that. We have tools to assess where we are. We are now going to talk about making a plan for ourselves to actually execute this. Like Melissa said, like I want to do video, but it's like, what does that even look like? How do we lay this out for ourselves? So once we know what our goals are, and we've spent some time in our business, so we feel really good about like what worked, what didn't work, what we want to try. We got to lay it out now and really make a plan. And so we'll go back to our list of goals that we wrote, and we're going to lay out when those will happen. Does that make sense? So these were the goals that we kind of talked about. And in the workbook, and I emailed it to all of you. If you joined late, then maybe I didn't email it to you. Just let me know and I can email it to you. But basically, it's not hard. You can also just create this yourself. This is a quarterly vision, and this is you taking your goals and like laying them out over the course of the year. And the reason that we break them down is because annualized goals can get really overwhelming. Like I said, like I have 16 goals. If I was like, I need to start working on all 16 goals of those goals right away, like that can be really intimidated. If I can say, I'm just going to focus on these 3 or 4 right now this quarter, then I feel much better. It feels like much more easy to do and not like I'm letting myself down because I've chosen to focus on just these goals, and then hopefully I achieve them, and then I can move on to the next set and I'm more likely to get them done. So this is from the 12-week year, which is what we built our like guaranteed goals process off of. But basically when you have annualized goals that are just, you just have a bunch of goals for 1 year, we're all excited right now. It's January. Like I love January because it's like this business planning and fun time of year and fresh start and all of the things. And then you get farther into the year and you realize I haven't gotten as much done, and you get in, you know, it's the middle of the year and you're like, oh man, like I'm nowhere on my goals and I've only gotten a little bit done. And then people experience a push at the end of the year when there's 2 months left. They're like, I'm going to get this done before the end of the year. Right. And so that's kind of the way that they've kind of looks like there's the phases of emotions over the course of the year when you have like too many goals and you're focusing on all of them at once. So if you take them and break them into quarterly goals, it's much more approachable, right? So this is an example of all those goals that we had, but like laid out over the course of the year, and it looks much more doable like this, right? Like the first one last year, I put study Microsoft tasks and start using it in my business. That was my first quarter goal because I knew it was going to help me for the rest of the year. And also the same thing with listing collateral. It's like, I want to have better listing process. So I'm going to focus on that right now so that I can use it in the spring market, right? And then with the production, I took it and I annualized it over like what the business might look like. And I can send you the seasonality of what Briggs Freeman business looks like, but yours might be different. I know there are some agents who always have huge end of year, right? So you just kind of have to know your own seasonality, or I can share with you how we like project seasonality. So does anyone have questions about this?
What is Aura Ring 90 readiness?
Oh, well, so I wear this ring. It's like a wearable fitness monitor, basically. And it gives you every morning, it gives you a readiness score and a sleep score. And it'll tell you like your body temperature is a little bit high, like you should take it easy today, or like yesterday, you overdid it and you fell asleep really fast and your breathing was fast. It tells you like how basically it takes like metrics from your body and it puts it into words of like how you're doing. Of course, we need to like listen to our own body. Also, it's a joke now. Matt and I ask each other how we slept, and we're like, hold on, let me check. We can't just answer anymore. We have to like consult our device to see how we slept, which is kind of sad. We should know our body better than that. But that's what that was. It's like, I want to like have my wellness be in a certain place. I consistently wanted like an average of 90 by the end of the year, which I'm pretty good at. I'm a good sleeper. The readiness is a little bit harder. So anyway, that's a long answer to your quick question. But has anyone done this before, like with success, or done it before and like gotten stuck and it wasn't helpful? Because I've done this in my personal life. And now that I do it like with all of my goals, I find it to be really super helpful because it keep like my 36 books goals. Obviously I will have to like say like by the end of the first quarter, I should have read about 9 books. Right. And if I'm behind, it doesn't matter. If I'm ahead, great. So it just helps me to like see it a little bit better. Anyone else? Okay. All right. So that's my suggestion, is lay out your visions over the course of the year, and then you have to revisit it, obviously, but we'll talk about that. Okay, so this is a really, really big one. And this is one where you guys are in an advantage because you have some really great resources at your fingertips at Briggs Freeman. And it's to have a strategic marketing plan. So once you complete your business and marketing activities review, and you've determined like what your budget is, then you can create a plan. And I will tell you, like, the general rule of thumb is that you should spend, if you want to maintain your business, you should spend 10 to 15% of what you made on your marketing. If you want to grow your business, it should be 15 to 20%. You have to spend a little bit more to be more prominent. So that helps. That's a number that I feel like we talk about a lot, but agents are kind of always surprised to hear it. But that just gives you a rough estimate, right, of what you should be spending. to maintain or grow your business. So once you figure out what your budget is, then you create your plan based on those items, and you can sit down with Sherry or Catherine and they will help you lay out a plan, right? If you know all you need to know, because we have so many options at Briggs Freeman marketing wise, all you need to know is your own business, so that when you sit down with them and talk about your own business, they can help you lay out what would work, that we have, what tools and resources we have at Briggs Freeman that you could take advantage of, right? Whether your budget is very small or larger, like they can help you. So you create your plan, and then you lay it out in a yearly flow calendar, and you execute consistently every month. And that is also something that they'll sit down and help you do, is meet with you on a regular basis to make sure that your marketing is actually being executed. So I encourage you to take advantage of that. That's something that we offer to you here, that we know, like top producing best agents are very good, consistent marketers with a strategy, and they just execute it. And we have like resources built in here that you guys can lean on, so that you can do that as well. Any questions about that? Okay, so this is an example of a yearly flow calendar. This is in your book. Yours may not look like this. I will tell you, like, I used to work with a top producer who was a ninja, and her yearly flow calendar had like 7 things on it. She was not doing 3 things a month. So I don't want you to see this and like shut down and be overwhelmed. She knew she did like a shred event for her clients in the spring. She did client appreciation pop buys twice a year. She did like a tailgate at a football game in the fall. Like, she had very specific things that she did regularly, and that was like how she kept in flow with her people. So you just need to figure out what yours looks like. I can share with you that these are the things that Briggs Freeman has on the calendar, so that you could incorporate that in communications with your clients, or things you could do, right? This is just a calendar of upcoming things. The global networking event isn't something you're going to do with your clients, but that's just FYI. We have the, when's the company-wide open house? We do a clothing drive. We do our gallery nights in Fort Worth. Food drive, Thanksgiving pie, Salvation Army trees. These are all things that you guys can lean into.
Zareen, will we have more gallery nights in Fort Worth, or is March the only one?
I think they're just planning to do one this year, but we'll do it like really well. I think that's what we did last year too.
We had several.
There might have been 2, but I think the plan this year is to do one like really well executed. Don't hold me to that, but that's what I think. So then the yearly flow calendar, here's another example. And again, I don't want you guys to be overwhelmed, because this is a very robust and full one, but those are just ideas, right? The point is for you to figure out when you're doing what, and have it laid out in advance. So when the time comes, you're not having to figure out what you should be doing. You're just executing a plan you've already laid out. Good. Okay. So to summarize, the way we're going to lay out our plan is we're going to take our goals and lay them out over the course of the 4 quarters, so that we don't feel overwhelmed and we know what we're supposed to be focusing on. We're going to have a strategic marketing plan for ourselves. Once you've done those business and marketing activity reviews, make sure to sit down with Catherine and Sherry and know your budget, and you guys can come up with a plan, and then they will help you execute. They will schedule at least a monthly meeting with you to make sure that these things are on track, and see how they can help you. And then the yearly flow calendar is the same thing. It gives you, it takes away the guesswork of what should I be doing right now if we laid it out in advance, right? It's just, you go look at what you need to do. So those are your planning activities. So now we've defined our goals, wrapped our arms around our business and really understand it. And we have a plan to make it even better business this year. So we're going to talk about accountability and how do we stay committed. So remember from this study, the people that did the most success were the people that told a peer and also checked in with that peer on a weekly basis, which is why we do this guaranteed goals challenge. You don't have to do it. There's no pressure, but if you want to, you are going to come and think of 1 goal or 2 goals, or maybe 3 goals if one of them is really small. And we're going to break them down into executable steps in a plan over the course, starting Wednesday, January 18th through Wednesday, April 5th. We're going to meet every Wednesdays, and it's not a long meeting when we meet on Wednesdays. It's a Zoom. And it's, you know, I don't know who was here. Kay was here last year. There may be 20 to 30 minutes, and we're just talking through like how we did and what worked. And it's just really a function of having to be accountable to really, you're being accountable to ourselves, because when you show up at the meeting, if you don't do it, you're not getting in trouble. Nobody cares. Everyone's going to give you grace. It's really just the deadline for yourself, so that you can show up and be like, I was supposed to do 4 things last week to move closer to my goal, and I got 3 of them done. So I'm moving number 4 to this week. And, you know, it helps you. I will tell you, I've said this so many times now. Last year, I think we met on Tuesday afternoons, and I think everyone in the program had like very productive Tuesday mornings, because no one wants to show up and not have done anything. So go ahead, Melissa.
No, I laughed. 'Cause
Okay.
That's true.
You remember Tuesday mornings being like, shoot, I need to get these things done.
Mhm.
But it's true. I mean, even if we did them all like Tuesday at the 11th hour, like getting them done, like helped move us forward. And at the end, we had all like made a lot of progress, or achieved our goals. So accountability is key, I guess, is the very short way of saying what I was just trying to say. And we've got this program that we're starting, no pressure, but we're gonna there's another CE class tomorrow. If you need CE, it's tomorrow morning at 10, and we're going to kind of talk through it and the thought process behind it. And then we'll actually start the program next Wednesday. So for you to stay accountable, even if you don't do guaranteed goals, like you've given yourself this gift of setting goals and writing them down and making a plan. So you should give yourself some credit. At least once a month, you need to assess, what did you do last month and what needs to happen in the coming months, so that you can be checking in like on a monthly basis. We need to kind of check in and say, how do we do? I think if you want, we can do like a quarterly check-in, just to force everyone to like look at their goals and revisit. We tried to do it monthly last year, and we didn't have enough people, you know, it petered off. So I think just at least once a quarter, we can say, let's do a goals check-in. I will do that and invite everyone who came to business planning. But you on your own should be assessing at least on a monthly basis. I mean, I think part of what we do in this business when it's not so structured is we need to have this big plan for the year, then we need to break it down into quarters, then we need to check in with ourselves every month. And then every week we need to check in and say what needs to happen. And then really every day you need to know, like, what are the 5 things that need to happen today, right? And just keep yourself on track. So then the last thing you need to do is, you know, find someone to share your goals with and stay accountable. It's critical to sticking to your goals, is letting someone else know, if it's your spouse, if it's your business partner, if it's a friend at work, if it's me, like whoever it needs to be, like just some accountability helps. And I'm not afraid to check in with you if you ask me to, so let me know. But we have talked about this before. I love to, I'm sorry, I know you guys are going to be so tired of this, but I think it's so important to have this reminder of this Eisenhower urgent important matrix, because it's a good way for you guys to think about your business. When things get thrown at you all the time in real estate, it's a good way for you to think about, like, what is this thing I'm being asked to do, and where does it fall on this scale, so that you can handle it accordingly. Just because it's urgent doesn't mean you need to stop whatever you're doing and take care of it necessarily. So we'll go through this, but you know, things are either urgent or not urgent, and they're either important or not important, right? And if it's urgent and important, you have to do it, right? You have to, if you need to be at the inspection, you have to be at the inspection. Although I think you can just be at the end of the inspection, right? If that's what you want to do. If you have buyers coming in from out of town, they're not moving their trip for you, right? So you have to do that. If you need to write an offer and there's multiple offers, like that's urgent and important. Picking up your sick kid from school, like that's urgent and important. If you have someone to help you, arguably that's urgent and not important. If you can have your mom or your nanny or whatever, go pick them up. So urgent and important are things that you just have to do. It has a deadline, and if you personally don't do it, it's a problem. So then there's things that are urgent but not important. And these are things that can be delegated, right? you know, it might be picking up the kids from school, right? When we got a nanny, that was like a game changer for me. Delegating that to like a third party, like gave me like hours back in my day. It's urgent, it's timely, like it's not like they can wait 4 hours or till tomorrow. It needs to happen, right? But like your social media, that's urgent. It needs to happen on a regular basis. You can't just not do it for a month. People would notice. So that's urgent, but you could delegate that out to a third party, right? Some emails are could be responded to by other people, like feeding your family is sadly urgent and but not something that you necessarily have to do, right? You can get a meal service, there's ways to like, you can get someone to help you. So things that are urgent and not important, delegate those. Then there's things that are, and this is the most important quadrant, things that are important but not urgent. And these are our like business building activities, right? And these are the things it's like, man, I really want to do that because I think it would be cool and I know it would generate leads for me, but you just keep kicking the can because like random stuff keeps popping up, right? So these are the things that you have to schedule. Like basically it's your lead generating stuff. It's writing your notes, it's weekly client updates, it's networking, it's exercise. Like these are things that are really, really important to like your personal success. But if they don't happen, there's no deadline, like you didn't miss anything. If you don't write notes for a month, no one's coming after you, right? If you don't send out your client communication on a regular basis, no one's mad about it, but you're not gonna be giving as good a service, right? So those are things that are important but not urgent. These are things that, so anything that's important but not urgent needs to be scheduled into your calendar and then protected so that it really happens. You need to plan around these things or put them on your calendar. And even if you have to shift it a little bit, leave it on the calendar so that it actually happens. Because this is the stuff that these are the cans that get kicked that really shouldn't, because they're what's bringing us business. And then of course, the last quadrant is things that are not urgent and not important and just need to be like deleted, right? It's just junky stuff in our lives that are like not productive. I went to lunch with a friend a few months ago and she told me that sometimes she stays up until 3 a.m. watching TikTok, and she is like a full-time businesswoman with 2 little kids. And I'm like, how do you do that? Like you need to delete TikTok. Like that's insane, but whatever, their algorithm obviously works on her. So anyway, you know, not urgent, not important, delete it. So that's that. Thank you for bearing with me and hearing that. So then now, you know, what's next? We've got our goals. We have a quarterly vision to look at and remind us. We're going to do our strategic marketing plan and have our yearly plan of when we're going to do our business activities. We're going to figure out some way to hold ourselves accountable. And now we just have to decide and do it, right? Like we just have to decide, like we're in or we're out. And that's really up to you. Like we can't want that for you. We can't do it for you. No one else can. You just have to decide and figure out if you're going to put the effort in. So, this is my very ugly, but very valuable, little, cartoon where, you know, we've got our 2 little guys and the one's like working away, like planting his seeds, and he's got all his little tools there. And the other guy is standing over his shoulder, just looking at him like scared and asking questions. And he says, are you terrified of what this year could be like? Everything's so messed up, which I think is true. A lot of us could feel that way. And this guy's like, well, I think it's going to be bring flowers. And his friend is like, why do you think it's going to bring flowers? And the guy is like, well, because I'm planting flowers, right? We know from Ninja, like what we focus on expands, and we can only control the things that are inside of our control. And I think we all need to think about this guy and just focus. There's a lot of chatter about like bad markets and slowdowns, and I don't think we need to lean into that. Like this is a time when you guys can thrive because you're experts and you have all the right tools, and there will be a flight to quality as the market gets a little bit tougher. So I think you guys are really, really well positioned to do really well. So don't listen to the garbage, and, you know, don't just join in when people are talking about a bad market or a slowdown or interest rates. Like be knowledgeable so that you can be actually like a ray of, I don't want to say ray of positivity because we don't want to like gloss things over, but like be providing value in these conversations. I think that's where you guys will do really, really well. So that is all I have. This is my Oprah quote that I love.